My mum grew up always going to the pictures, like going to the matinees, because there wasn't any television. And my mum would tell stories about going off to the picture theatre on every Saturday, and I thought, wow, that's amazing, because I think I only saw about 3 movies before I reached about 14 or 15.
Oh, right. So it was
because we didn't go to them because we had colour television and we stayed at home. And so that movie I never saw at the cinema. I saw in my living room, which had become our cinemas. I had a huge amount of imagination, and I basically lived in my imagination and in my world of escape, which was creativity and nothing out the world were basically my escape. So watching that movie, I would always really identify with Dorothy, and that moment where she goes, and her lying on the bed always felt like my childhood, this kind of very black and white world of these fearful things and these threats, and that there was this somewhere over the rainbow. And I think a lot of it actually probably had to do with growing up a Catholic, with religion. See, people actually think, the theorists will say, that is about, is it menage, like a girl's first period at a sexual awakening? But I actually think it's about atheism. And this whole idea of there's this happy ever after, and there's this paradise at the end, and somewhere over the rainbow there's going to be something quite fabulous. You know, she's this orphan girl living in this black and white world in Kansas, and there's these magical, lovely things over this colourful rainbow. So when she opens that door into this world, for me it was like the move from black and white television to colour, but also from my black and white world into my kind of technicolor world of imagination. And I just loved it. I found bits of it incredibly terrifying, but it's always really stayed with me. And she goes on this journey. She kind of gets lost and muddled and finds there's people along the way and goes through there's obstacles, and she needs to get home. And the person who can get her home is the Wizard of Oz, and he's this kind of great big godlike character who can pretty much do anything. And it turns out, like, you've got this kind of, have you guys all seen it? Like this big kind of screaming character on screen, and the little dog pulls back the curtain, and it's a little man who looks like John Howard. And and it's just basically, it reminds me, you know, it's that whole notion of these kind of godlike figures that I was brought up with, whether they were politicians or priests or blokes reading the news, and that they're just, there's no Wizard of Oz, there's no God, there's no happily ever after, there's no place like home, which is kind of being comfortable in your own skin. So I find the movie profoundly moving.